Hello and welcome to the C-Suite Sessions. I'm Andreas Pouros. I'm the founder and CEO of a business called Greenlight.
My name is Deri Jones, and I'm the founder and the chief executive of thinkTribe. Greenlight brings traffic to your site. thinkTribe makes sure it converts. We thought it would be good to have a forum where C-level guys can get together
to get a sense of their story, the challenges that they face and the challenges that their customers face.
and the tips and tricks we can share on the way. Here we are again, Andreas, the two CEOs in the C-Suite Sessions. This week, we've got an interesting company from Germany with Philipp Rogge, and that's a German name that I've probably said wrong. I apologize.
It's perfectly right. Thank you very much. It's great to be here.
So this week, we're talking about technology and customer experience. So we're going to be wanting to hear from you, Philipp, about how you got where you got, your background and so on. So do you want to kick off? Tell us a little bit about what Styla does.
Sure, with pleasure. So I'm founder and CEO of Styla, and we are a 55 people company based in Berlin. And what we do is we offer a software to empower brands and retailers to set up, edit, and optimize their web experiences without any development skills, which is also called no code. And this includes PWA and headless front-end setup to generate 90 plus page speed scores on mobile devices, as well as a complete comprehensive content management suite to work on pages in drag and drop manner without any coding. So this is what our company does. We've been around since 2012. Have been dealing with a lot of different businesses over these years. My personal background is business, so I'm the one not coding in our tech company. I've been working for a VC prior to launching my first company that I sold, and then I started this company together with my fellow co-founder Franz in 2012.
Do you think, Philipp, that it helps you not being from a technology background, not from being from a coding background?
Well, I think it's very rare to find an overlap between someone who is really good at coding and analytical, as well as very market-oriented salesperson. Someone able to really get out and understand what people really need. And so I think it's okay to split it, and I'm happy to take over the latter part.
I think it's quite healthy, because I think typically, not all technologists, but most technologists, they fall in love with technology. They fall in love with the process, with the mathematics, the mechanics, everything, as opposed to falling in love with the outcome. What's it meant to achieve from a business perspective? So I think sometimes it's very, very helpful having that divide.
Yeah. Absolutely, and I mean also all the different things to keep in mind. The costs and the revenue generation. How much can you spend on what area? I think this goes very much into a business side that is then sometimes just nasty for a developer to go into. I think that certainly intelligent enough to take it over, but it's something that really comes sometimes with a bit of feeling as well that needs to be involved to tweak things and put the right levers. So I think this is something that is good to have a business background and to understand a bit of the market. And having seen a couple of other companies and having stints in different businesses, I think it's good to have the background that is needed to convince people to really embrace a new technology, get in there, and not just provide it very cold as a technology piece. So it always needs a bit of packaging to make it really a good value and good offer to them.
Done a good job on that packaging, because you've got an impressive client list there, not just in Germany, but certainly in Germany. Some of the really big names. So you obviously Styla's given them a lot of value around the e-commerce space. So it's WordPress, it's easy, editable, it's fast, it's a whole pile of added value that you guys are giving.
Well, I hope so, yeah. Hopefully our clients speak for themselves. Yes, I mean, it's always difficult to build up a company, as you know, for yourselves. So you have to come up as a no one, and nobody knows you. And then you have to convince them by offering a good piece of technology that they are willing to test out. And then you can jump from one client to another and grow and grow. and this is what we managed to achieve over the years. And I think the value is always, if we think a little. If you put us a little bit back and just think about what our clients want, what their customers in the end want, right? So it's a couple of things that are just you could say common sense. We're getting into an era that is way more digitized than it used to be, and the technology is becoming the pivotal element for success in this market, right? And this is the latest, the trigger for a whole new wave in this. But I mean, even before, if you went to a trade show, and you could easily be overwhelmed by what you were seeing there. All these different technology providers, and I think it's a whole new game out there, and therefore it can be quite irritating for someone that's used to just selling furniture, that now they need to be technology experts. So what we're trying to get over is the value of making it very, very simple, so that they can understand how to run their business. And that means that, in a way, I always tend to say that, the website is a marketing tool, and it used to be living inside the IT space. So there's a mismatch, and we want to get over that, and we want to get it back to into the marketing people's hand. And then they can work it out and have their play with it and break fast. And get everything up and running. So this is what we think is the value that we provide for our customer. For the end consumer, I think the value is that they have an information gap that needs to be overcome, right? You go out to a website, you want to know what it is that you're buying, that you're looking at. So it needs to have rich content, not only for aspect ratios or for all sorts of technical details, but really to understand, what do I communicate with this when I buy this? What is the community I go into when I equip myself with this product? What is the trend and style that it exudes? So those are the things that need very rich content, and that's why we want to make it very easy to create these content experiences. At the same time, so this is the first part of the experience, is just understanding what this is about. And the second part is really that the experience is the transactional cost, right? So if you know what you want, how do you get it? What is the difficulty with a website? How do you want to deal with loading times, and etc.? This is something that we want to have done in a very, very good way, so that our consumers, our clients, don't need to worry about any of those technical details. We will take care of them for them. And this is the value.
Nirvana of all e-commerce directors now, I think, isn't exactly that. The rich content, the rich experience, and the speed and availability, and it's the nirvana we're all shooting at. Are there any specific clients from the past, any good case studies you can give us an example of?
Well, I just had at the tip of my tongue that I wanted to say, there's a project that I just always point to. It's a bit old now already, and actually we don't have anything to do with it. It just highlights the importance of content. It's quite astounding. It's called the Significant Objects Project, I think. And it means, or what happened here is that some journalists came together. They bought, I think, 100 objects for under $1. It was in the US. And they started writing a bit of content, a bit of storytelling around these random, tiny, worthless objects. And they ended up selling them for 100 times the price they purchased them for, So it's some of the stories were fake, but some of the stories were real, and they were just getting it out and communicating it, and it's just mind blowing how you can see that content is making a huge difference, and this is what we see across the board. I mean, now everyone knows that content is a main driver when it comes to e-commerce, because we can't go into physical stores. So what the means we have are content related. Videos, text, imagery. In fact, content is king, is what we all already know. But content can be a killer as well for any sales process if it's just not good enough, if it's just not explaining enough. And that's why I think having these content-rich pieces on a very, very fast infrastructure is the value that we try to bring across.
Yeah, no, that's impressive. That's what we all want. So talking about customer experience, it's a thing very close to Andreas's heart and my heart. Andreas's company, brings traffic into his client's website, and my team makes sure that the customer experience 24/7 is spotless, so that traffic converts, both aiming to make it all convert. And so the customer rich experiences you're creating is a key part of that. But you've done two things. You've combined the rich content tool set with speed for the customer on the page. That's a remarkable thing to put together.
Exactly. And just you were talking about conversion. The speed is a main element in optimizing conversion, because you see that there are many studies out there that put the loading times of websites in correlation to the conversion rate. So it goes all the way down by, I don't know, you can optimize it by 1 or 2 percentage points from the overall website visitors. That means you can really, really make a huge difference to your business just by speeding up the websites. And that's why what we have set out to do is to get Styla Frontend, our product line, onto a whole new cutting edge infrastructure that is exactly. It's a headless infrastructure. That means it's a decoupled front end that is set up onto a Ecommerce or Shopify to communicate with the shop system underneath just through an API. And then what we do is that we create these the websites in a pre-rendered fashion as they're.
This is your magic sauce. I want to get this because this is clever. Keep going.
Yeah. So the websites you create are being pre-rendered and then they're put into a CDN as a static website. Yeah. So it's just a tiny JavaScript reduced static HTML page that is super quickly loaded onto a mobile phone, and that's why. You can create these great pages with a CMS, with a content generation, and then they're being minified. They're being put into a pre-rendered JavaScript reduced static file that is loaded at light speed. And so this is our solution that we bring to the market. And what we want to do here is, this is the setup that we're offering here is really very much an enterprise setup, you could say. And what we want to do is we want to commoditize this because we really believe in this headless future. And so we don't want to have this, offer this at a high price. We want to really get out to everyone who's interested in speeding up their e-commerce business. And that's, I think, a special value because so far, it's really a very, very bespoke IT project that needs to be done to kick this off. And with us, it pretty much comes out of the box.
So I was going to say there are sort of two main weapons you've got there, but it's actually three. The third one is that it's cost effective as well. But the two core things there are this super rich digital experience that can be created and curated so easily, and the speed of delivery to the client at the end of it.
But it goes one step further than that, because speed of an underlying platform is one thing where speed is important, but also if you're decoupling the front end and the back end, it means that the marketing teams as human beings can work faster and get things changed on the front end faster. And certainly what we've experienced as an agency is these long delays between requesting a change be made on a website to actually going through all the layers of bureaucracy and the IT teams and take a ticket, take a number, and get in the queue. And whereas in this instance, and correct me if I'm wrong, with what you guys have done, it allows a marketing team to go in and within some fairly strict parameters, I would assume, make some changes though that improve conversion rate and all these types of things.
Exactly, absolutely. So it pretty much aligns with what we know from product development, right? So there's this famous book by Eric Ries, The Lean Starter, which propagates the cycle: build, measure, learn, iterate. So the whole thing is built for speed, as you just said, Andreas, for the speed of development, the speed of iteration, because you never really know what's working, what is not. And this is true for all the website changes that marketing teams do, right? So you just quickly put something up, test it, throw some Facebook budget on it, and then if you see it's picking up, then it's great. If not, then iterate and change. And this is exactly what is just difficult to do if you have an IT team in between. That's why empowering the marketing team has a whole range of optimization for the underlying business. But there's another thing that's really important to say. Because if we're speaking of a headless infrastructure that comes with a best of breed approach, then obviously there are many other parties that can join in, that we can connect to. So it's not so that we have a monolithic approach where we have an end-to-end solution. You have to eat what we provide. If there's anything that you would like to integrate, like personalization, search providers, social tools, they can all be working within the Styla platform, and you can aggregate it with the best technologies that you favor.
And you can also plug into some of the bigger under the bonnet e-commerce platforms too?
Sure. So we're rolling out Styla Frontend now. That means we're ready on BigCommerce and Shopify, and we're integrating more and more shop systems over the next coming months. So there's basically no limit if the platform underneath is headless ready. That means that all the different functions can be provided through the API, and this is what most of them really do. I think there's a bit of backlog for some of them, but they're really getting their job done very, very nicely now over the next couple of months as well. So it's just right in time for any shop system, I think, that is bigger in the market.
I can see across our client base of 50 retailers on top of Salesforce Commerce Cloud or SAP Commerce, being jealous of these features too. So
it's that flexibility. Philipp, that sounds all great. I'm assuming that your business also has some challenges, some things that keep you awake at night, or things that you're kind of working through. We get to get a sense of what those might be. I mean, you mentioned previously that you have 55 members of staff now. Be interesting to hear if you have any challenges around managing that size team and a growing team. I always remember there's an anthropologist, I think it's called Dunbar, that talks about how you can have how the human capacity to have relationships is quite restricted. So you can love probably 5 people. You can be good friends with 15 people, I think it was. Then you have 50 friends, and you can't really have more than 50 friends. So people that say they've got 1,000 friends on Facebook, they're lying. You have 50 friends. Then you've got 150 meaningful contacts. And then beyond that, it becomes acquaintances and people that you recognize. So you're kind of at that point now where we have 50 people. I remember from my own business, we were less than 50 people. You knew everything about all those people because it's a manageable number of people. Once you start to exceed 50, then you get into that category of meaningful contacts. You don't really know as much. More difficult to maintain culture as you grow because you're not really interacting. I wonder whether you have any similar kind of challenges or what you're experiencing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's the difficulty with any growing company that there are new employees that you haven't seen, and I mean, especially nowadays, we're all remote. We used to be an office culture, and now we're remote. That means there are many people in the company that I've never actually seen, which is putting a bit of trouble on that as well. But what we try to do is we want to be a very flat hierarchy company. That means basically anyone can step up to anybody else. We have very open channels, and we try to do regular digital meetups as well to have everyone united. We do a great job in HR, I think, where we introduce people properly to the company. They can introduce themselves by picking their favorite meal and the superhero they would like to be. And those things are those tiny details that make it easy to grow. I think what is important, obviously, is to have a really good setup of a line management. That means that everybody feels taken care of. Everybody in the company has a weekly one-on-one where they can talk to their superior and ask anything and voice their opinions on anything. And obviously, this is difficult to achieve, but I think we're doing a good job there. What is a difficulty as well, I think, in our general terms, is the education of the market. So we see there's still a lack of knowledge on many things, many aspects. We have a couple of clients that are really coming from the high street now are going digital. So there's a very steep learning curve. And you would think that the bigger companies are actually doing a better job, but we have some crazy customers as well who are pretty much blocking themselves off because they have processes that are just not ready for a fast, agile digital culture. This is what we're always working on to educate them as well to make this possible, because with the culture, with the process, the use and adoption of technology is also limited or fostered. So that's always something that's on our
I think we also forget, being kind of the service providers, how much choice our customers have and how much they're attacked by different options. I remember a few years ago, one of my clients, I think I was complaining about how many emails that I had in my mailbox. And then he turned around his laptop to show me, he's the e-commerce director, to show me how many people contacted him with, hi, do you want to, we offer this service, we offer that service. So in every single day, getting 50 to 100 different companies trying to sell him something. So we forget that it's quite difficult from the client side to be able to make decisions when you have so much choice and so many different directions you can go in, and different providers you could use, and different opinions, and different stakeholders internally have different requirements. So it must be quite difficult in that regard to educate people, given that they are being buried on a day-to-day basis with options and ideas and different products and services.
Exactly. And then also, I mean, we're in a very loud market. That means everybody's shouting, hey, I have the new solution and here's the new trend. And so it's really, they need to know very clearly for themselves what they want to go for, and what are the prevailing things that are really making a mark on their business. And to sift through this whole thing, as I said, with the trade show where everybody's just propagating their technology piece, I think that they need to be very highly educated in terms of technology and use of technology as well. And those are the things that are needed in the market, which I think is also a reason why what we're currently doing is a great thing, just to get the word out, to talk to people and offer solutions and advice basically to the market.
What about this question then? You're a company set up in Germany. Some people say the German market, e-commerce wise, is a couple of years behind the UK. Is that still true, do you think?
In general terms, I would say yes. So judging from the e-commerce turnover in general, I think you're pretty far ahead compared to Germany. And I think that leaves a mark on how companies are approaching new technologies. I think when we talk to UK clients, they're very open and they're ready to. I think in the States you say everybody loves to try out new technology. I think that's their fastest and most advanced in their style to work with new technology. I think the UK is doing a really great job in that, and Germany can still pick up a bit. It's strange because there's a couple of great technology companies coming from Germany, but all of them, they have big businesses abroad, and that's why I think setting out as a German company, you always need to think international, maybe not as much as a US or a UK company as well. So we have this multinational, multilingual approach, embedded into what we do from scratch, I guess. So those are maybe a couple of differences, I would say.
That's interesting. Is that a thing? Is that going to be easier for you in the UK because we do jump quicker, or is it easier the German way where you're slower but it really, really works?
So I think we try to be very thorough. Which, as I just said, with this Eric Ries's lean startup approach, build, measure, learn, and to get out with a product that is almost embarrassing, is really not in our veins. It's something that goes against our culture. So that's why I think we have to overcome ourselves and really, be embarrassed about what we do more in order to speed up the process of getting to a great product and great value. So this is a general thing that I would say. So there's a great saying that I once heard. So in the US, where it's the exact opposite, they jump off a cliff, build a plane on the way down. And we stand at the top of the cliff. We try to build it, and then we may never jump because we're too afraid. So and this is exactly what we have.
There'd be a great piece of research if you ask different people in different cultures to define what an MVP is.
Exactly.
That'd be fascinating, because I think it gets some massive differences in what the definition of an MVP is. I think we should do that research actually. So Philip, it's difficult to do these kind of podcasts these days without speaking at least briefly about the pandemic. It sounds like you guys have seen a benefit throughout that, even though it's obviously not been a very good time for the world. But you guys are offering a product and a service that's helping businesses very quickly respond to demand. Do you see growth continuing past the pandemic? Do you think there'll be an optimism that comes from leaving the pandemic, or do you think things will largely be roughly the same as they were previously?
Well, I think probably the whole market agrees that we've just seen an increase in velocity in how we adopt the digital e-commerce environment. So I think that's definitely going to stay. So they say 5 years have happened in one, and this is what we see as well. That's why I think it has been a great moment for the overall adoption. People were setting up accounts. They maybe got a phone. We think of the older generation. So these kind of things, they stick with people, and that's why I think it's going to stay. On our end, I think we have been seeing as well, because we have a couple of clients coming from the high street. We've seen a couple of clients, in fact, going out of business because of this. So because they have not been fast enough to adopt the change. And then that's, I think, there was this wave coming in, and then if you were not prepared for it, you were easily swallowed by it. And that's why the ones that were very innovative and forward-looking, they could use the wind and sail with it and catch the wind. And so that's why I think. Just to say, I think it's always good to, especially in this very technology-driven market, to be very, very forward-thinking. Look at what's happening. Also, look at what you're providing, the advice you're giving. This is really what clients need to do, because they're prepared for whatever will come. And I think from what we can see now, it's only going to be an increase in volume. So it's going to be an increase in traffic, and people won't live without a digital and e-commerce in the future.
Absolutely. I think we should end on that sentiment, because it's a very good one. Philipp, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. It has been a pleasure.